Hey everybody, Mike Miller with the Herald-Times coming to you live from Frost Arena on the campus of South Dakota State University. This is where it all ends. This is where the IU women bow out of the WNIT with a 76-64 loss to South Dakota State. The Hoosiers finish one win shy of setting a new program record for most wins in a season. They finish 21 and 13 on the year. Really a memorable year, and a year that I don't think anybody saw coming. Certainly not Curt Miller. He knew what he had coming in, and even said the other day that if you were to tell him that this was the team that was going to, tie the program record for wins in a season, he would have said you were crazy. But the season is over now, and what a way to go out! Really, in front of nearly 4,000 people here at Frost Arena, the IU women nearly found a way to pull this out. And that's the crazy thing. This is a game that I think they were heavy underdogs coming in. Again, South Dakota State's a very good program, and you look at the post-game stat sheet. Indiana matched them in virtually every single category except for one, and that was free throws. The Jackrabbits got to the line and hit 20 of their 22 free throws, shot over 90%. Indiana just couldn't match that. I think they only had 4 trips to the line in the first half. Finished the game 8 for 14. Just not a very good free throw shooting team. They don't really get to the line very well. When they do, they don't really hit their shots. But that said, this is, to borrow a cliche, this is a game of runs, and they went blow for nearly the entire afternoon. Indiana had a couple leads in the first half. I think they got to within 2 in the final minute and a half, 2 minutes of the first half, and then trailed by 7 at halftime. Came out in the second half, 12 minutes left, they got to a 4-point game. Again, with about 8 minutes left, they got to a 4-point game, had a chance to get to a 1-point game. Laren Brooks missed a 3. But really, they were within 2 possessions for, virtually the entire second half. So it was a really competitive game. Indiana played great. Just couldn't match up with the free throws. There were bright spots. The Hoosier youngsters, especially their starting backcourt, Taylor Agler, Laren Brooks, Alexis Gassian, they combined for 45 points. Gassian tied her career high with 22. And really, just to single her out for a moment, she's been outstanding the second half of the year, or really since the first Northwestern game, which was the third of 3 games where she scored only 2 total points. Since that game, January 30th, she's been great. She's been not only one of IU's most consistent scorers, she's been one of their best. Just coming off the wings, coming off the screens, and really just maybe surprising some teams. Maybe teams know to take out Laren Brooks, but maybe some of those games they really weren't prepared for Gassian, and she made them pay. I think since January 30th, she's averaging something like over 12 points per game. Just coming off those screens on the wing, shooting threes, which she can do a lot offensively. She's a really, really interesting young player, and she's only gotten better second half of the season. That includes the free throw line. Curt Miller has said multiple times that no one's working harder, in practice on their free throws than Alexis Gassian. So that's good to see. Speaking of Curt Miller, he was given a technical foul for the second time this season, and I just got to say that through 2 years of watching Curt Miller, when you come to these games, it's almost hard to take your eyes off him because he's so intense. He gets just so into the games, barking at the referees. And I think it was the Minnesota game earlier this year. He ripped off his coat middle game and nearly took his shirt with him. Intense man. Well, today that intensity sort of caught up with him. It was about midway through the first half, and one of the posts for South Dakota State, Mariah Claren, she's coming off the block, going up for a layup, and Agler swoops in and apparently went up for the block. I didn't really get a good look at it from where I was, but it happened right in front of the IU bench, and Curt Miller was protesting that she got all ball. But they called the foul nonetheless, and Miller continued to protest. And he said after the game that he said the magic words. He told the official, "I didn't come all the way here to get homered." And so that earned him a technical, which 2 shots plus the foul that equaled to 3 South Dakota State points. But at that point, it was still a close game, and you give him 3 points like that wasn't really good. But the whole game, Curt was just fighting for him. It was a very hostile environment. 4,000 people here today. Loud, just a great college basketball environment. And the Hoosiers did not let that get to them. This entire week they practiced with simulated crowd noise during their practices, so they not only knew what they were getting ready for, they looked like they were ready for it. The whole goal was to stay in the game early, not let this get out of hand, because they knew that South Dakota State is a very good free throw shooting team. They're a very good 3-point shooting team. They finished with 10 today, 10 3-pointers. So they wanted to be able to hang in there late, so they weren't playing catch up. They were playing catch up, but it wasn't as dramatic as it could have been because they were, in the game early. And just the fact that they were here, here in the round of 8, says a lot. But not only that, to be here playing in a game like this in front of a hostile crowd against a veteran, deep, balanced team like South Dakota State, that's going to help this team. That's going to help this team in the years to come. That's going to help these freshmen. It was just a really good environment. It was the kind of intense game. Everything's obviously on the line. It was just the kind of game that Indiana needed to play at some point in this tournament. They saw it a couple times at home at Assembly Hall where, the first 2 games against Belmont and Marquette, they got up big early and then sort of let those teams get back in it late and won close. And then Northwestern, obviously, that was a game they trailed until the final 11 seconds, and they won it on a Simone DeLoach layup with 11 seconds left. But this was a different game. This was a different kind of game. This was the kind of game where it took focus for 40 minutes. And frankly, it was there. They just a couple things didn't go their way, and they ended up losing the game. But really nothing for them to hang their heads on here today. Really good effort, really good game. They played well. It was, of course, the final game in an Indiana uniform for IU's 5 seniors: Simone DeLoach, Tabitha Gerardo, Sasha Chaplin, Malika Talfa, and Andrea Neubauer. Bit of a quiet exit for a bunch of them. Gerardo was probably 7 points, 3 rebounds at top of the group. Simone DeLoach scoreless. Sasha Chaplin scoreless. Malika Talfa fouled out in the second half. Andrea Neubauer had only 2 points. She's not a scorer. That's not her game. But she found a way to the basket a couple times, and actually she only had 2 points, but those 2 points are big. They actually cut it to a 4-point game with about 12 minutes left today. So, kind of a disappointing way for those women to go out. But I know that Kurt Miller is especially grateful for everything they did, not only on the court but off it, especially. And it begins in that locker room. It's kind of been his mantra the first 2 years here. Is just building from the locker room. That's how you build a championship team. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And beyond the locker room, just the whole recruiting too. The seniors, they were the first to buy in, and they were the first to help out with recruiting when IU hosts recruits. They're there to tell them, Indiana's a great place to be. You want to be in Bloomington for this. You want to be here for when Kurt has this in 2 or 3 years, when he has his team as a consistent, NCAA tournament team, consistent postseason team. You want to be here for this. The seniors really buy into that, and they really take that on as part of their duties as upperclassmen, is to really sell the program and make it an attractive place for some of the top tier young recruits to come. So obviously they'll be missed with their size and their height and their play that they give on the court, but really this is a class it's going to be tough for them to lose off the court too. So that's the way it ends, unfortunately, here in South Dakota. That'll probably do it for me. I'm trying to beat a blizzard. I really want to get back to Bloomington before the end of the week. I'm trying to beat a blizzard. I don't know if I'm going to beat it. Cross your fingers. Anyway, that'll do it for us this year. Really can't thank you guys enough for reading along and following along with our coverage of the IU women's basketball team. It's been a fun ride. This is not my main job here at the Herald-Times, but it's one of my beats, and it's a fun one. Kurt Miller's really, really fun coach to cover. He makes it interesting. Really enjoy covering his teams. So I want to thank you guys for reading along. Again, can't thank you guys enough. From Brookings, South Dakota, this has been Mike Miller with the Herald-Times. Hope to see you guys in Bloomington soon. If not, send help. See you guys.